Flying Well. Exclusive to The Drive with Robin Ross.
Ons het 'n bietjie vroeër gesels oor iemand wat vliee in hulle huis kweek en hoe dit eintlik besig is om regtig die omgewing 'n hupstoot te gee.
Yes, we found a story about a company in Cape Town, and they're literally growing flies everywhere.
Hundreds and thousands, maybe millions of flies.
What they're doing is they're using the flies to convert grain, mostly from the beer making process. And they're turning it into fertilizer and pet food and all kinds of stuff. And they gave a whole bunch of interesting stats here, which I really liked. 100 liters of beer will give you 20 kilograms of like grain waste that you use to brew it. And apparently this was all just getting dumped. There was nothing to do with it. You couldn't use it afterwards for anything practical. So they were talking about South Africa has 36.5 million tons of this grain waste that was going to waste every year, and now it's not.
Yeah, so insect farming is actually taking quite a big spot now in terms of conservation and in terms of us looking after the environment. So actually breeding things that you think might be a pest, but they actually help with how we can look after the world. Why would someone do this?
Okay, so we spoke to the CEO of this company. It's called Maltento. His name is Dean Smorenberg, and he told us what was behind the process, why he started putting these things on his little woonstalletjie, on his stoep there in die woonstel in die badkamer.
Our value chain of food is really badly managed. It was always about how do you take what's perceived as waste and keep it in the food chain, because really the nutrition is still there. We just have these bad, old school, preconceived ideas that are suddenly dirty and bad for you. Up north and certainly into Africa, there's not that secondary market for the grain, and they can often land up being composted or landfilled, which causes issues with greenhouse gas emissions as it breaks down.
So we kind of always associate flies with being dirty, right? So the specific one that they're using is called a black soldier fly. It almost looks like a wasp.
Yeah, I went and looked them up. You know, like those big black flies that you get in your kitchen? Not those.
No.
These soldier flies, they're like long and thin and streamlined. You've probably seen them, but I see them very seldom. It looks like a big black grain of rice.
Yeah.
You know, those narrow aerodynamic flies.
Ja, maar wat Dean eintlik sê hulle doen by Maltento is dat hulle maak seker hierdie vliee eet 'n spesifieke dieet, natuurlik die oorskiet van die bier broueryproses en al daai tipe goed, sodat die produkte wat hierdie vliee kan maak eintlik like useful is.
Ja, dis baie interessant, hoor wat sê hy.
The spent grains plus a few other ingredients. We mix that all together and we make basically a formulated diet for our insect. So we have a doctor, a PhD, whose main job is to make sure that the insects are well fed. It's really the larva that is kind of the hero. So we all call it 4-day-olds. And that's generally in sort of meat boxes, if you will, stacked into a big climate control chamber for 7 days. After 7 days, they've consumed all that feed. You're able to separate that basically any form of screen where the small frass falls through and the larvae stay behind.
So here are two things that I've now learned, right? Someone out there has a job, and their job title is fly nutritionist.
Yes.
Which is
Imagine.
fun. And also, a bunch of people in Cape Town go to work at a factory with giant meat boxes full of maggots, and that literally sounds like my nightmare.
Yeah, but
It
you
does,
know what
but I
the
think
great thing
it's
is
good.
also about this whole process that they are involved in is even after the flies are not useful anymore, they use the larvae to produce products, including fertilizer and feed for chickens van die Amerikaanse mark, en dan maak hulle ook troeteldierkos hier uit. En ek het in 'n artikel of 'n onderhoud saam met Dean gelees dat die honde in die toetse wat hulle gedoen het, verkies hierdie kos oor die gewone kos.
En dit is so gesond, want hulle word juis geteel met hierdie doeleinde. So daar's proteïene in, en wat ook, dis ook baie gewild op wynplase. So as jy wyn drink wat uit die Kaap uitkom, is hierdie miskien deel van jou wyntjie wat jy drink, want ons baie nitrate, en hulle het ook bewys dat as jy dit gebruik in jou wingerde, dan gaan jy beter oeste hê.
Well, there you go. It's a big source of fertilizer. Rosie said chicken feed. They're using it to make pet food products. They reckon they're going through 400,000 kilograms a month at the moment. Obvious question then. because people have been trying this around the world. Insect protein. Would you eat it? If somebody gave you a nice insect cheeseburger.
If I was on Survivor, possibly. In my
Nooit.
day-to-day life, when it's
Nooit.
not ideally necessary, I'm going to say no. What about you?
I immediately want to say no, but I also want to get over myself. And maybe if we didn't know and it tasted the same, we could all just, carry on with our day and eat a fly burger.
We'll have to speak to Dean again because he was mentioning that they are going in that direction.
You
so
see.
when we are going to eat these flies, we should give him a call again.
There you go. Black soldier flies. They are helping us save hundreds of millions of kilograms of waste around the country. They're turning it into pet food. It's really clever. And shout out to the people who are, farming maggots on their balconies of their apartments to get this all going.
The Drive with Robin Ross. Weekdays 4 to 7. Jacaranda FM.